Most contractors hear $10,000 a month on ads and immediately think, I can't afford that. But here's what they're really saying: I can't afford to make $150,000 in profit, because that's the actual math. When you know how to generate exclusive leads that close like referrals, ad spend isn't an expense, it's a profit multiplier. I'm Spencer Wright, and after helping over 100 home service contractors install lead generation systems that actually work, I can tell you the pattern is clear. The guys stuck at $1 and $2 million a year think in terms of what ads cost. The guys doing 3 to 5 to 10 million think in terms of what ads return. And in this video, I'm breaking down the real math behind contractor ad spend, why I can't afford it is actually backwards, and how to calculate for yourself whether you can actually afford not to invest. Because here's the truth: every month you wait, you're not saving money. You're losing $50,000, $150,000, $250,000 in profit that could have been yours. Most contractors hear $10,000 a month on ads and their brain instantly categorizes it as an expense. Money going out, a cost, a risk. And if you're used to running your business on referrals and word of mouth, that number feels insane. But here's what is actually happening. You're not evaluating whether you can afford the investment. You're evaluating whether you can trust the return. Because if I told you, give me $10,000 and I will give you back $150,000 in profit, you do that deal all day long. The problem isn't the money. The problem is believing the return is actually possible. So let's talk about what ad spend really is when it is done right. It is not an expense. It is a profit multiplier. And think about it like this: when you buy a truck, that's an expense that becomes a tool. When you hire a crew member, that's an expense that becomes capacity. Ad spend works the exact same way. It is an investment that becomes predictable revenue. But here's the issue: most contractors have been so burned so many times by so many different agencies. They've spent $20,000, $30,000, sometimes $50,000 and more on marketing companies that promise the world and deliver nothing but shared leads, tire kickers, and spam calls. So when someone says spend $10,000 a month, their brain immediately jumps to, I'm about to get burned again. And honestly, I get it. I've worked with over 100 builders across the country, and the story is always the same. But everything changes when the lead system is actually built correctly. When your leads are actually exclusive, when they're actually pre-qualified, when they're self-booking and they already trust you before the appointment, the math flips completely. You're not spending $10,000 and hoping something happens. You're investing $10,000 and watching it turn into 50, 100,000, sometimes $150,000 in profit. That's not hope. That's just math. Let me give you a quick example. Take Mike Holst in Minnesota. Before we met, his family business had been stuck at the same revenue for the last 5 years. He'd already that year burned $27,000 with an SEO agency promising they'd get him results, but kept saying, give it more time, give it more time. But what did he actually get? Only a dozen appointments over the span of 12 months. He told me he was literally checking his phone most days just to see if his number actually worked. So when we first talked, his mindset was, I can't afford to throw money away again. And I totally understood. But once we installed this exclusive lead generation system into his business, the mindset flipped in the first 10 days. He went from, is the phone broken, to closing more than $45,000 in new work in the first 2 days of us running the system. Suddenly, he wasn't spending money on marketing anymore. He was buying $20,000 in gross profit for a fraction of the cost. And that's what happens when contractors start seeing an ad spend differently, not as an expense, but as leverage. So the real question isn't, can I afford to spend $10,000 a month? The real question is, can I afford to stay stuck at the same revenue level for another year while my competition is filling their calendars? Because that's what's actually happening. Every month you wait, you're not saving 10 grand. You're losing the $50,000 to $150,000 in profit that investment could have generated. Now let's actually break down the math, because this is where most contractors get entirely lost. They hear $10,000 a month on ads, but they have no idea what that actually produces. So let's stay on this example. Let's make it real though. Let's say you're spending the $10,000 a month. If your system is built correctly, meaning exclusive lead generation, proper qualification, and authority-based positioning in your advertising, you should generate anywhere between 100 to 125 qualified leads per month. Not tire kickers, not accidental clicks. These are homeowners who filled out a multi-step survey answering questions like project type, timeline, budget, location, and then booked an appointment on your calendar. Not every one of those leads is going to become an appointment. That's normal, but the exclusive pre-qualified leads that you're going to get, you should see at least 30 to 50% lead to appointment ratio. meaning 30 to 50 qualified sales appointments. And here's where the system gets even more powerful. These aren't cold shared leads. These are homeowners who are opting in to your ads exclusively and booking with you directly. After seeing testimonials, project walkthroughs, educational videos, and case studies for the next 7 to 14 days after clicking on your ads before you arrive. So by the time you show up, they already feel kind of like they know you, kind of like it feels when you get a referral. You can't buy referrals. If you could, you would. So what do you want to do if you want to scale? You have to figure out a way to go into cold traffic and generate leads from cold traffic. But you don't want just a cold lead. You want a lead that feels like a referral. So how do you do that? That is through trust building assets and then systematically retargeting people that click on your ads with educational content that position you as the go-to market authority and expert. That way, when you show up, they feel like they know you, like you, and trust you. And who do we buy from? People we know, like, and trust. And that's what a referral does, is they transfer that trust. And when you get it, you become the go-to person. And that's why they go with you so easily. That's what good ads can do as well. That was a mouthful. I digress. This is not theoretical. Look at Justin Wiley in San Antonio. Before we were working together, he was paying $400 per lead to some national expert, but he was getting maybe 6 leads a month. The math simply didn't work. He was basically buying his own jobs with no margin left. Once we installed this system, his cost per lead dropped from $400 to less than $30 per lead. That is a 90% cost reduction in the first 7 days of us working together. During the so-called slow season in Q4, he collected $1.7 million in new jobs. He tracks every dollar. By the first week of January, he issued $1.1 million in new quotes in just 7 days. So when he spends $10,000 in ads, we know it's generating more than $150,000 in profit. It's not some theory. That's what his numbers actually show. And here's the part that changes everything. Once you understand the math, you can scale it. If you know $10,000 generates $150,000 in profit, what happens at $20,000 in ad spend? You're not just doubling your costs, you're doubling your profit. And that's how contractors go from 1 million to 3 million to 5 million and beyond. They stop thinking about what ads are as an expense and start thinking about what ads can be as a return. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I get the math, but how do I actually build this for my business? I want to help you figure that out. Click the link below and book a free strategy call with me. We'll look at your market, your numbers, and map out what this ROI could actually look like for your business. Then I will show you exactly what it would take to install this system in your business and generate leads by the following week. And I back everything that I do with a guarantee, so there's literally zero risk on your end. The link is in the description. Now, if the math is this good, why aren't all contractors doing this? Because most contractors aren't running a system. They're running hope-based advertising. And there's a huge difference. Hope-based advertising looks like this. You run some Facebook ads. You use instant lead forms because they're easy. Someone taps the ad, or info autofills, boom, you got a lead. But here's the problem. When you make it that easy to opt in, you're training the algorithm to find you exactly what you want. Easy opt-ins, not serious buyers. So you start getting accidental clicks, no budget homeowners, people outside your service area, and your favorite, tire kickers. And every time someone like that fills out the form, Facebook thinks, perfect, let me find more people like this. So your cost per lead looks great, but your cost per actual appointment is terrible. You call them, no answer. You text them, nothing. Finally, someone picks up and says, oh yeah, I forgot I even filled that out. That's not a lead, guys. That's a waste of time. And after a few weeks of that, contractors conclude Facebook ads don't work. But it's not Facebook. It's the system. And this is built correctly. You send traffic to a landing page with a multi-step qualification survey. They answer questions about project timeline, budget, the location. Yes, fewer people complete it, but that is the point. Nobody completes a multi-step survey by accident. By the time they submit, they're saying, I'm serious about this project. Then you send that data back to Meta. And the algorithm learns what an actual buyer looks like. So over time, you get better and better leads, higher intent, higher budgets, higher close rates. Then after they opt in, you don't just call them once and hope they pick up. You run an automated follow-up system, fast personal texts, emails in the first hour. Then you add them into a 7 to 10 day nurture sequence with case studies, before and after projects, frequently asked question videos, educational content, plus retargeting ads. So when they see you everywhere for the next 2 weeks. So by the time you speak with them, you don't feel like a stranger. You feel like the contractor they've already chosen. Take Ricky in Colorado. Before this system, he was fighting for scraps on Angie's List and HomeAdvisor. Constant price wars, losing bids to whoever was $50 cheaper. But when he switched systems, the leads changed overnight. Instead of low intent tire kickers, he started getting homeowners who already had seen his videos. Some were already discussing payment logistics before he even walked through the door. He closed a $45,000 job in 2 weeks, and in the first 14 days, he went from 0 leads to $105,000 in closed jobs. What was his total ad spend? Less than $1,000. Why? Because the system pre-sold the job before he had ever arrived. Now let's talk about something most people ignore: capacity. Because if you turn on a lead system that actually works, your problem stops being, I need more leads. Your problem becomes, can I actually handle this many jobs? Let me paint the picture. You go from getting 5 to 10 leads per month to getting 30 to 50 leads per week. Your calendar goes from being scattered to completely booked. 3 or 4 appointments per day. You're closing 50 to 60% of them. Suddenly, you've got more work than your crews can handle, and you don't have the systems in place. And if you don't have the systems in place, you'll drown in it. So before scaling ad spend, ask yourself a few questions. Do you have enough crews to handle the volume? If you're a one-man show still swinging the hammer, you're not ready yet. Ideally, you have 1 to 3 install crews at the ready. Do you have a proven sales process that works on more than just referrals? And if you're the only one running estimates, you're gonna hit a ceiling fast. You need someone else who can run appointments and close deals. Do you have operational systems, scheduling, project management, invoicing, follow-up? If everything still lives in your head or on a notebook, scale will break you. And here's the big one: cash flow. Because you'll spend $10,000 in ads today, but collect the revenue 30 to 60 days later. So you need enough working capital to bridge that gap. But if you do have the crews, if you do have the systems, if you do have the cash flow, this is how contractors go from 1 million to 3 million to 5 million in 12 months. Because once lead generation becomes predictable, growth stops being a mystery. It becomes math. You know exactly how many leads you need. You know exactly how much ad spend produces those leads, and you can turn the dial up or down whenever you want. That's control, and that's what separates contractors who stay stuck from contractors who scale to the moon. So let me ask you a quick question. If you could spend $10,000 and make $150,000 in profit, would you do it? Of course you would. The only reason most contractors aren't doing it right now is because they don't believe it's possible. And I get it. You've been burned before, but the system I just walked you through isn't a theory. It's a proven system we install for contractors every single day that generates exclusive referral quality appointments on demand with consistency and predictability and scalability. And I back it with a results guarantee. So if you're ready to stop wondering where your next job is coming from and start manufacturing predictable revenue, click the link below and book a call. We'll look at your market, your capacity, your goals, and if it makes sense, I'll show you exactly how to install this system in your business and start generating exclusive leads within the next week. The link is in the description. And if you're a contractor who wants more videos on scaling lead generation and dominating your local market, make sure you subscribe, because every week I break down exactly how contractors generate exclusive leads that close like referrals without competing on price. See you on the next one. Cheers.